With that, I'd like to yield to the ranking member, Ms. Van Duyne, for her opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I very much appreciate you gathering this subcommittee to discuss such an important and timely topic. Just last month, I appreciate the opportunity to tour businesses in Chairman Phillips' district, as he mentioned, and discuss how supply chain problems are affecting businesses all across the country. These issues are particularly harmful, as the chairman mentioned, to small businesses who lack the purchasing power, diversified supply networks, robust contingency plans, and pricing flexibility to be able to compete with larger firms. NFIB's recent Small Business Economic Trends report found that 90% of small business owners saw supply chain disruptions that are having an impact on their business. Additional reporting has found that nearly 50% of all small businesses have experienced product delivery delays from their suppliers. 25% of all small businesses has come to slower delivery times to their customers. And the same study also found that supply chain disruptions might cause approximately 20% of all small businesses to rethink their current supply chain. As help wanted signs are becoming a common sight on the doors of small businesses and local communities across the country, and store shelves have become increasingly bare, the American people are taking notice to these Democrat-induced economic crises. For example, a recent survey found that 85% of American adults are concerned that supply chain problems may lead to shortages of basic items. And just let me give you a few examples that we've seen in national news headlines recently. Wall Street Journal, supply chain bottlenecks elevated inflation to last well into next year. That will last well into next year. NPR, dual challenge, combating the shortages of labor workers and supply chain breakdown. USA Today, grocery store shelves bare. These products may be hard to find due to supply chain issues. New York Post, supply chain woes forcing toy manufacturers to scramble to meet Christmas demand. In my home state of Texas, a local Dallas News headline reads, "Businesses have never been this stressful. Supply chain issues hurting small businesses in Dallas." Supply chain disruptions have left small businesses paying more of their hard-earned money for goods that they may not receive for months on end. The Job Creators Network September monthly monitor poll found that higher prices coupled with inflation continue to be the leading concern for small businesses. And make no mistake, Americans are paying more for just about everything. The Biden administration's labor crisis is also a key contributing factor to the rising costs of goods and empty shelves. The worker shortages have hindered the ability to get cargo to shore, unpack these much-needed goods, and find truck drivers to transport the products throughout the nation. U.S. employers across all industries are struggling to fill more than 10.4 million job openings to meet rising consumer demands. And the NFIB reports that 51% of small business owners have unfilled job openings. Again, 51% of small businesses have unfilled job openings, compared to a historic average of 22%, which is a 48-year record high for the third consecutive month. America's economy is being held hostage by Joe Biden's supply chain failures. Last week, the president's very own chief of staff referred to inflation and supply chain disruptions as, quote, high-class problems. Additionally, Secretary of Transportation made jokes about supply chain issues and how they could impact Christmas gift-giving for all Americans. This smug small business negligence within the Biden administration is unfortunately a reality that will crush businesses all over this country that depend on increased sales and spending during the holiday season. Simply put, small businesses are left to bear the brunt of President Biden's supply chain crisis. Inflation is skyrocketing. Cargo ships stocked with thousands of containers are circling U.S. ports with no available slips to unload, and small businesses cannot find workers. And without the products or workers, store shelves across the country are becoming increasingly empty. And while we're holding this hearing, the Biden administration continues to minimize this crisis and seems confounded by the seriousness of our supply chain issues. The challenges that we're facing and this administration's blatant inability to address it go far beyond a slightly less Merry Christmas for the rich. Supply chain problems are keeping not just toys, but medical supplies, oxygen containers, and basic necessity out of the hands of all Americans. And when you couple this with the devastating inflation and escalating energy costs as colder winter sets in, President Biden's policy will literally cost American lives this winter. This is the undeniable reality of what we face in the months ahead. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today, and I hope to work with my colleagues on real solutions to support our small businesses and secure America's supply chain without enacting legislation that authorizes large amounts of new money and fails to combat overregulation, labor shortages, and taxation. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.